Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Liz Explains the Movies. A cinematic adventure brought to you by boredom and dialysis, not necessarily in that order. I am not on my machine right now. I have just finished dialyzing for the past 4 joyful hours. Here we go. There we are. So you can see that I just got off the machine. So I'm not on it right now. So I guess I'm cheating, but I did just get off the machine. Oh, that's my University of Michigan clock in the background. Can you see that? Got a surprise for you. I didn't go to the University of Michigan. My dad went there for medical school, but I went to a garage sale one day and I saw this beautiful clock and it was $3. You know, $3. Can you beat that with a stick? And I mean, you know, go blue, whatever. So I needed a clock. There it was. So I don't pretend that I went to University of Michigan. But some people in my family did. Who cares? Anyway. Okay, so and do I root for the Michigan football team? I don't know. I didn't really go there, but to be honest, I'm kind of a Beavers fan now. Oregon State Beavers. They need all the fans they can get. My son, I could swear to you, was going to be an Oregon Duck. I really thought my son Spencer, who I'm not supposed to say his name, but nobody watches this, so it's okay. I really thought he was going to be an Oregon Duck. And all of his life, he was like, ducks, ducks, ducks. I love the Ducks. And I remember the day the Ducks won like the BCS championship or the Rose Bowl or something. The kid ran out the front door and we didn't see him for another 45 minutes. He was just like screaming. And the whole neighborhood was, celebrating. Because when you move here to Oregon, this fine state of Oregon, they make you pick a lane. You have to kind of pick a lane, whether you're going to be a duck or a beaver. I didn't have a clue, but I tried to stay neutral. We all are, as a family, my husband could not care less about sports. Any football. He does not follow any sports. None. Zip. Zero. You know what he talks about? Music. It's music, 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 because he makes guitars. My husband, and he works for a bus company, but he made guitars until our house exploded, and that's a tale for another day. But anyway, so they make you pick a lane when you move here to Oregon. And they're like, are you a duck or a beaver? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so for a long time, I really thought we would be ducks because my son really loved the Ducks. And he had a stuffed duck and he had duck shirts and duck this and duck that. And we got him a duck watch one year and I don't know. And then he grew up and I remember also, this is really weird. This is how crazy they are for the football here. I remember the first year here, everybody on our street, up and down the Christmas, we moved here in like October, like right around Halloween, right? And so up and down this street, there were like lights. Everyone goes crazy with the Christmas lights, right? Lights, 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 lights. And we went by this one house. Now, it wasn't in my neighborhood. It was a different neighborhood, but we went by this one house. And there was nothing on the roof. There's all these duck things in the front yard, and it was like Christmas ducks, Christmas blow up things, and Christmas everything. But it was also yellow and gold. The Oregon Ducks are yellow and gold. And then there were these numbers written in lights on the roof. And I was like, what is that? What is that? What is that? And I asked a bunch of people, and they're like, I don't know. And then finally I asked someone who knew. The guy in this house had posted or had put in lights on his roof, giant letters or numbers or whatever. The score to the Civil War game when the Ducks beat the Beavers. he put it on the roof in lights. This is the kind of place I live in, right? Crazy. All right, so I was neither a duck nor a beaver for a very long time. And then my son Spencer met a kid named the Clay Monster. I won't use his real name, but anyway, he met one kid, his best friend. He has two best friends, really. One starts with a Z and one starts with a C, and they are best friends. Maybe they don't want to be outed or whatever on this lovely channel with my 26 subscribers. But anyway, they one of them plays the tuba in the Oregon State Beavers marching band. And the other one works for the railroad. He loves trains. He's loved trains. This kid has loved trains since he was in 3rd grade. And that's when they all met. And but they're both Beavers fans. And so Spencer was slowly converted to being a Beaver. And now I'm kind of a Beaver myself. I don't know. I mean, because really the truth is Spencer got into 12 colleges by himself. They had like no college counselors at this high school. Or they did, but they were always like 14 people in line or what. It was terrible. But whatever, it's fine. I mean, they tried their best, right? But they have like a lot of kids. And anyway, so he got into like 12 colleges like Gonzaga and Albion, of course, where my parents went, and Willamette and Oregon State and UVO and this one and that, I don't know, Loyola of Chicago and different Kalamazoo. He applied to all these different colleges. Montana State wanted him really badly, but he's like, really, Montana? What am I supposed to do there? I don't know. I don't want to be a nurse. He didn't want to be a nurse. Anyway, whatever. They have like all kinds of good stuff. Whatever. So who cares? But anyway, so I thought for sure this will be it when he goes to the tour. We went to tour some of these schools, and he went to tour the Ducks school, University of Oregon in Eugene, and we had a nice time, but he was like turned off right away. He was like, this is all sports. This whole place is just sports. I asked some guy, this tour guide guy, like, where's the political science building or whatever? And the guy was like, I don't know, it's over there. Anyway, sports, it's like, really, he was like, yeah, I'm not into this place. Like, because every time you go there, it's like, you're a duck now. Welcome to the Ducks, and he had been admitted, and then he went on the tour. So I don't know. So then he went to Oregon State, and he really loved that place, and he really loved it. But his first choice, I think, was really Gonzaga and then Willamette. And so that's where he ended up. He ended up Gonzaga didn't give him any money, but Willamette, like, threw money at him. I mean, they gave him a very healthy scholarship. And that was his first choice anyway. It's across the street from the Capitol in the state of Oregon. And it's right across the street. The Capitol is literally across the street from the college. And he loves it. And he's majoring in cool stuff and whatever. So anyway, we're Beavers now. Yeah. We're Beavers. Anyway, so today's movie, so that's why I have a Michigan clock and I should have a Beavers clock. But, I looked for a Beavers clock and it's like $40 to get a clock like this for the Beavers. For what? So, but you know what? They go to in fact, this weekend, Spencer and C and Z, his two best friends, they drove, he and Clay Monster drove down to, Core Vegas, they call it, to go visit Zach and go to the game. Zach, oh crap. Anyway, I said his name anyway. Well, okay. They went to go visit the game, to see the game. And I guess the Beavers won. The Beavers won for the first time this season. They won because I guess they've been having a little bit of a hard time. It's really exciting that the kid down the street, Jacob, somebody, is on the Beavers football team. He went to this high school with Spencer, and he lives down the street. He got injured, I guess. He's back on the team. I don't know. Anyway, so we're Beavers around here. And, frankly, I don't but now I kind of root for them, especially when they were in the baseball thing last spring. They were in the baseball thing, and Spencer and his friends got to go to a playoffs game. That was really, really exciting. Not Omaha. I don't think they made it to Omaha, or maybe they did. I can't remember. I get mixed up. And then they also go to Mariners games up in Seattle, because, Portland does not have we don't have a football team. We don't have a baseball team, really. We have soccer, and we have the Trailblazers basketball. We don't have, a professional hockey. We don't have a professional football, and we don't have a professional baseball team. So they have to get all their sports somewhere else. So it's all about college, like the Beavers, and then they love the Mariners baseball. I don't think he's much of a Seahawks. I don't think he cares. He likes the Lions. He follows the Lions because, Detroit. But anyway, so, yeah. So we're Beavers around here. Such an exciting... Anyway, today's movie is called Michael Clayton. Oh gosh, we're already 11 minutes in. Today's movie is called Michael Clayton. It stars George Clooney. It came out in, I don't know when. IMDb is broken right now. I don't know. There's some kind of web outage thing. So, it came out sometime. I don't know. I think Tilda Swinton is in this. Tilda Swinton, and I know she's in it, but she won the Academy Award for her portrayal of Karen, what's her face in the movie. Okay, so it stars George Clooney, Tilda Swinton, Tom Wilkinson, and also Sidney Pollack. It's his last movie role that he acted in, actually. And it's a very good movie. Incredible. It's based on, briefly, it was written by a guy named Brian Koppelman. Okay, and his dad is Charles Koppelman, who was best friends with Martha Stewart. And he was in that Martha Stewart Apprentice show. But anyway, he is a record producer, music producer, right? And Brian Koppelman, his son, his daughter is like a lawyer and some kind of podcast hoster person, Jennifer Koppelman Hutt. But his son, Charles Koppelman's son, Brian, became a screenwriter. And he wrote, among other movies, he wrote this movie called Michael Clayton. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh, and it's an excellent, pretty sure, it was an excellent movie. So he based it on this situation in Ford Motor in the 70s. And if you remember Ford Motor in the 70s, which you probably don't, because you're not from Detroit, but I am, they had these cars out. It's kind of hard to explain. This is going to be a long walk. So, no Mary Tyler Moore today. Okay. So, they have cafe standards. Automobile companies have cafe standards. And so, that means something cumulative, average, fuel economy, something, the thing. And it means that they can have all the gas guzzler cars that they want. Like, let's say Ford. They have the Expedition. They have the Explorer. They have the big giant F-250s or whatever. Okay, they can have all those cars they want, but they have to have one so the average fuel economy of all their vehicles is an average of something, so it's like more reasonable. They can't have all gas guzzlers. There's like an EPA kind of thing, right? And so every car company was scrambling to come up with, after this thing was passed, to come up with small cars that get high mileage, right? So they can, so like GM did the Yugo, if you can believe it, and a lot of other ones. Chrysler did the Dodge Omni and Horizon. AMC did the Pacer, and Ford did the Fiesta for a while, but for a long time, and the Escort. But for the first one, Ford did the Pinto, the Ford Pinto. And it was a cute little car, and it was a very, very popular car, right? But it had a design flaw, a fatal design flaw, in that the gas tank in this car was placed in such a way that if this car was hit from behind, okay, it exploded. Ford Pintos blew up all the time. They were blowing up, and like 10, 11 people died every year from these cars blowing up. Just the smallest thing hit from behind, boom, the whole car goes up in flames. It's very dangerous, right? They're like ticking time bombs because who doesn't get hit from behind sometimes, right, on the road? So these cars were blowing up, and Ford knew about it. They knew about it, and there was an internal memo that was leaked, and it was like, they said, well, let's weigh the cost. Like 10 people a year suing us would cost us, let's say in 1970s dollars, $6 million, but retooling all these cars and refixing the design and blah, 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 that'll cost us $20 million. So let's not do it. Right? And they just let the cars go, and they let them keep blowing up. And it was leaked. Like, we don't care that it's blowing up, so we lose 10 people a year. I mean, it was unconscionable. It was unconscionable. It was really bad decision. And so that kind of got leaked, and they got some very bad publicity. And, this happens with companies sometimes. I mean, usually they are better actors than this. But anyway, so that's what Brian Koppelman based this movie on. Was Michael Clayton was the movie. But instead, the Ford substitute was this company called U-North, and it's a weed killer. So now let's get into the movie. Michael Clayton is 16 minutes, good Lord. Okay, so Michael Clayton is a lawyer, and he wants to be a real lawyer. Like, he used to be a district attorney, right? He went to law school, he paid his way through, he comes from a family of cops and everything, and he wants to be a real lawyer, but instead he hooked up with this firm called Lundini, Keller, and Bach or something, anyway, and he is the fixer. He's the firm's fixer, right? And so what that means is, they have all these really expensive, this is like a shishi-poo-poo law firm, and they have all, hello, interrupted. Okay, so they have all these really expensive clients on retainer, right? And they're paying thousands of dollars every month to keep these guys at their beck and call, these lawyers, right? And so he's the firm fixer. So one of these guys, one of these big shots, gets their mistress pregnant, or their kid gets into trouble, or whatever. He's the firm's fixer. He's like, going out and greasing the wheels with the judges and this people, using his influence of this firm and, all his God-given lawyer skills to get people out of trouble. He's the firm's fixer, right? He doesn't like it anymore. He doesn't want to do it anymore. It's kind of sleazy. He doesn't like it. He doesn't want to do it anymore. But he's making good money. And so he starts saving his money, and he wants to buy a restaurant because that's his walk away money. He doesn't want to do this work anymore, right? He went and bought a restaurant, and he went into business with his brother, who turned out to be using drugs, and he didn't know it. So then his brother got in deep with some loan sharks or something, and now they want to kill his brother. And so he is just like, all right, I'm going to pay back this $80,000 after they auctioned off everything in the restaurant. It still can't pay off his debt. So now he has a debt of $80,000, and his walkaway money is gone, and he's very, very unhappy. One of the other jobs Michael Clayton has, and this is George Clooney in this movie, one of the other jobs he is to babysit this guy named Arthur. Arthur is one of their star attorneys, but all he does is work the U-North case. U-North is the company with the killer weed killer, right? The weed killer that kills people. It kills weeds and people, right? And for 3 or 4 years, there's been this class action. People are dying from this weed killer, which I think is a substitute for MONSANTO. I don't want to say it anyway, but people are dying over this weed killer. And so Michael Clayton has been tasked to babysit this guy, Arthur, who all he does is this case. That's all he does. And so once in a while, he is bipolar, and he kind of goes off the reservation once in a while. And so he goes off his meds, he kind of loses his mind, and then Michael Clayton has to reel him back in, come on back to reality, and he's kind of like his babysitter, right? So one day he does this in a deposition, and he ends up walking around naked in a parking lot in Milwaukee in the winter, and it's freezing. And he's in love with this plaintiff, and it's really crazy. And so U-North is very upset with this, because this is she comes and meets with him in Milwaukee, and she said, look, this is the architect of our defense for the last 3 years, the primary architect of our entire defense. has been found walking around naked in a parking lot in Milwaukee. What are you going to do about this? And of course, what is Lendini, Kenner, and Bob? What do they send? They send Michael Clayton because he's a fixer. She gets very insulted. Why didn't they send a higher up guy to deal with this? You know, and so anyway, his briefcase gets lost. The wrong people find it. And Arthur's in big trouble. And so now this movie is like the saga of how the whole thing evolved. I don't want to tell you too much because it would give too much away and it would ruin the suspense. Because it's a very good suspenseful movie. But if you like these kind of movies that are like, you know, really like the little guy fighting the big giant, you know, corrupt things, and there's some incredible performances. Tilda Swinton, I think, won the Oscar for this performance. I think Clooney was nominated. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure he was. Tom Wilkinson was incredible as Arthur. Incredible. There were other great Merritt Weavers in this movie. She was in Nurse Jackie. She's a hilarious actor. But in this, she's a dramatic role in this, and she's very, very good, you know. Brian Koppelman, the writer, has a bit part. Sidney Pollack plays the head of the firm. And he is incredible in this. And this is his last role. He died of cancer shortly after this movie was released. And it's his last acting role. And he's a very prominent director, but I love some of his movies. He directed The Way We Were and The Firm and like 7 Robert Redford movies. But he is also an incredible actor. As I told you, he was in Tootsie that one time, and now he's in this. He plays a serious thing in this. But the whole situation evolves. So Michael Clayton is very unhappy. Arthur, of course, is very unhappy. And North is very unhappy. So there's a lot of like 3 unhappy parties in this movie. And they all, you know, it all comes to a really interesting conclusion. And it's very suspenseful. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but it's very suspenseful. It's an excellent, excellent movie. And it's so hard to explain the premise of this that I'm not going to do a Mary Tyler Moore today. But I hope that you're enjoying these. I still need to learn how to edit. It's very pathetic that I don't know already, but, you know, I'm working on it. I need to do like CapCut or something. I don't know. But I just got off my machine. I think I'm going to post another one. I just watched another movie today that I can talk about on Thursday. I think the next time I will dialyze is Wednesday or Thursday. And I hope everyone has had a great weekend. I didn't go to my church this week. I wasn't feeling that great in the morning. And I hate missing church. It's really fun. I love my church, and I'm here with my 2 dogs. They are beautiful dogs, and I don't know. I hope that you check out Michael Clayton. It's an incredible movie. I think you guys will really, 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 really like it. It's kind of like The Insider. It's kind of like Erin Brockovich. It's kind of one of those like suspenseful, on the edge of your seat, like what is going to happen next? Amazing. Amazing. And the end, once again, is so gratifying. It's amazing. You know, you won't believe it. You will not believe. You got to stick with it because it's kind of complicated, convoluted, but I'm glad I could explain it so that you would know what it's sort of about when you're going into it. I hope you all have a great day, and thanks for joining me, and I will see you next time.